Hey y'all, we're back. Today we're actually going to try to do a lesson, and we're going to be talking about what we call here at Hillcrest High School, middle school zone, double signs, adding a negative or subtracting a negative. And it's pretty straightforward if you just follow a rule, but we're going to try to do a little background information and maybe get you to understand why these things are the same. Adding a negative is really subtracting a positive, and subtracting a negative is adding a positive. And to do that, we take a look at a good old number line. And as you know, when you're adding on a number line, you move to the right. Okay? And subtraction takes you to the left. And positive is right, negative is to the left. And we can use that to determine why it is that adding a negative can be done a different way. Now, I do want to make sure you understand that your calculator doesn't care. Your calculator will add a negative number to a negative number or a positive number, and it'll subtract a negative number. But we try, sort of like with Twitter and texting, we try to write as few characters as we can in math. So we're going to take a look at that, but let me try real briefly to explain the justification. So, for example, if we're doing some very basic calculation like 6 minus 2, okay? We would come up here to the number line. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we know that subtraction, in elementary school they said you come backwards 2. 1, 2, gets you to 4. Okay? Everybody understands this. No problem. We're all okay with that. And likewise with some addition. Suppose I wanted to do something like 4 plus 3. Okay? Once again, on the number line, you start at 4 plus 3. 3 units to the right. 1, 2, 3. And that gets us to 7. So, no problem. And why are you wasting our time in this video? Well, the question comes up then, what if I want to do a negative number? Okay? What if I want to do 6 minus negative 2? Well, the first thing we know is that 2 and negative 2 are not the same. Okay? So, given 2 is not the same thing as negative 2. Okay? We know that. Well, that means that 6 minus 2 can't be the same thing as 6 minus negative 2. They can't be. So, why is that important? Well, that means that I cannot go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then subtract 2 by moving to the left. You can't do that because that's what 6 minus 2 is. Well, on the number line, how many directions can you go? You can either go right or you can go left. There's no other option. So, if I cannot go 6 minus 2 that way, because that is 6 minus 2, not 6 minus negative, what's the only other thing I can do? The only thing I can do is go out to my 6 and go 1, 2, that way. Well, Mr. Marlowe, that's just the same as adding. And that's what we're getting at. Instead of 6 minus negative 2, it's really 6 plus 2. So why not write it that way? You cannot go to the left to subtract a negative number. You can't do it because that's subtracting a positive number. Well, if you can't go to the left, you got to go to the right. And we know that going to the right is addition. So, instead of writing this, which can be a little confusing, and people start doing things like, oh, well, let's put parentheses in the problem. That makes it worse to me. So what we do is we just write it as an addition problem. Notice that the first number does not change at all. Okay? In the same justification for addition, if I wanted to do 4 plus a negative 3, okay, if I want to do 4 plus a negative 3, once again, we know that 4 plus 3 can't be the same thing as 4 plus negative 3, because the 3 and the negative 3 are not the same. So, that means I cannot start with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't go 1, 2, 3 that way, because that's plus a positive 3. And once again, if I cannot go to the right, my only option is to go left. And that is, of course, subtraction. So 4 plus negative 3 can be written as 4 minus 3. Because once again, I can't move to the right from 4 3 units, because that would be 4 plus 3. Minor technical difficulty there, but we're back. I was just finishing saying that I can't start at 4 and go to the right 3 units for negative 3, because that's what I do to get plus 3. And positive 3 and plus 3 and minus 3 are different. So my only option is to move to the left, and that is really subtracting 3. So 4 minus 3. So that's the background. I can't go to the right when I am adding a negative, because that's adding a positive. I can't go to the left when I'm subtracting a negative, because that's subtracting a positive. So I have to go the other way. There's only 2 directions to go. So what we're going to do very quickly is just show you a couple of examples, and then we'll call it a wrap on the video. So let's take a look at some problems. Suppose I've got 22 plus a negative 8. All right? This, again, is what we call a double sign. You got adding and subtracting, or positive and negative, and we don't need that. We're starting at 22, that doesn't change. But since I can't go to the right, because that's adding a positive 8, the left means I subtract. So I might as well just go ahead and write down 22 minus 8 and save myself a character. See, it's just a little bit clearer, 22 minus 8 instead of plus a negative 8. And then you go ahead and you carry out your calculation to get your answer. All right? So plus a negative becomes simply subtraction. Okay? It doesn't matter the first number, whether it's positive or negative. Okay? Negative 3 plus a negative 7. Okay? Starting at negative 3. Got my double sign right here. Moving to the right 7 would be a positive 7, and I need it to be negative. So I have to go to the left. That's just subtraction. Negative 3 minus 7. Again, fewer characters, a little clearer, and then, boom, go to your calculator, get your answer. I want to say again that the calculator doesn't care. But we're just trying to write things just a little bit clearer, and this is going to be a benefit when we get to solving equations later, getting rid of these double signs and making it subtracting a positive instead of adding a negative. What if I'm trying to subtract a negative? 6 minus negative 2. Double sign right here. And again, if I go 2 to the left for subtraction, that's positive 2, subtracting a positive. I need to subtract a negative. I can't go left, so I go to the right. And that's just plain old addition. So let's call it addition. 6 plus 2. Once again, your answer. Last thing I want to do, close with this, and that is, it doesn't matter what happens after. Okay? we only have one double sign. We have two operations here, plus a -9 and then minus a 6, but the double sign is only right here. So we just start like we've been. -4, because you're still starting at -4 on the number line. But again, if I go 9 to the right from -4, that's plus a +9. And if I'm going to move to the left 9, I might as well call it subtraction. So -4 minus 9 instead of plus a -9. And then minus another 6. This doesn't change because it's just subtraction. It wants me to keep moving left, and that's okay. So, and then, you would just do your calculation, -4 minus 9 minus 6. So, that'll pretty much wrap it up for the double signs. And remember, your calculator can do them. It's not that your calculator can't do plus a -9 or minus a -12. But we're trying to avoid writing it down. Again, fewer characters, and we're also building the groundwork for solving an equation. But simple rule, either remember it from the number line, or again, if we return to this, if it's adding a negative, it's really can be written as subtracting a positive. Subtracting a negative, okay, becomes adding a positive, and you do not change the first number, the number that you're starting with. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you next time.